listening audience.
Oh, sit down, please. Sit down. The Right Honorable Museveni, Minister of East African Affairs for Uganda, and the other honorable ministers who are here for East Africa and for the government of Uganda, the Secretary General, the Judge of the Court of East Africa, His Lordship Benjamin Odoki, and the constitutional making team, all the other distinguished persons. I was hearing the plan of action by the committee, and it's good that I came, because straight away I noticed something missing. Because what His Lordship Odoki said, that you are going to consult, he made 9 points or something like that, but they were all on the how to federate, how to confederate. But the bigger question is the why and the whether. You must answer that first, because that's where the problem is. The how is much easier. It becomes easy when you understand the why. So for me, I'm here to talk about the why. Once you answer the why, then the how should be easy. So the questions are, why we should federate, and whether we should federate. Now, this is a story I have now come to know quite well, because I have been involved in it for the last 56 years, actively, not on the sidelines. And it is the story of the world, actually. It's not the story of East Africa. It is the story of the world. The human beings have been here for the last 4.5 million years. Don't think that these are recent occupants of the globe. They have been here for a very long time. In March of that time, they faced 2 problems. Problem number 1 was oppression of man by nature. Nature has been the biggest oppressor of man. How? Disease, that's nature now. Floods, that's nature. Drought, that's nature. And so on. So the biggest challenge to the human being and to other creatures, even the plants, even the animals, is natural phenomena. The hostile natural phenomena. But the difference between man and other creatures is that man tries to find solutions because he has got a superior brain. All the other creatures don't have the capacity to find solutions. They only adapt themselves to nature. If you don't adapt, you perish. But man has got the capacity to adapt nature to his needs. Now, man went on for a long time. And the more a society is able to understand the laws of nature and use them to improve the quality of life, the more civilized that society is. Understanding the laws of nature is what other people call science and technology. And man started long ago. 1.5 million years ago, he invented fire. The invention of fire was a big, big invention. Because with fire, man could do so many things which he could not do before. Before fire, man was living in the trees because he couldn't go anywhere else. But with fire, he was able to come from the trees and live in the caves. Why? Because he had fire to light the interior of the caves and chase giza. Kwa sababu ya moto, binadamu alikuwa anaweza kufukuza giza in the cave. And the cave was more comfortable than the tree. Because the cave, you don't have rain, you don't have cold, it is much better. About 10,000 years ago, man invented agriculture. He learned how to get seeds from the bush and plant them at home. Instead of just gathering the wild fruits, he could now grow his own food. And then a little later, that's how I now come in. Some of the human beings, like my group, learned how to domesticate animals and keep them at home. Instead of going to look for them in the bush, you could keep them here. And now, this is a long journey of man, of struggling against nature. And most of this time, man was using muscle, human muscle or animal muscle. The hoe which you hold with your hand, or the plow, where the cows assist you to pull the plow. So for most of this time, man was using either human muscle or beast muscle. Until 1450 AD. It's a long story. And you, the experts, you should really be experts about some of these long stories. But to cut the long story short, it was in 1450 AD now, after, you remember Jesus Christ? I'm sure some people would have heard about him. This was after he had come and gone. So 1450 AD, a man called Gutenberg, Johannes, invented the printing press. This is now a new capacity of society to print not to write like they used to write in the past with the hand and the pen, but print. This is 1450 AD. Then, around 1712, another man called Museveni invented the steam engine. The steam engine was invented mainly for pumping water initially, to pump water for irrigation. But later on, another man called Stevenson adapted the steam engine to pull the train. So now man in some parts of the world shifts from muscle power and from beast power to machine power. Machine power. This is what the Europeans are now calling the first industrial revolution. And then later on there was another second industrial revolution and a third one. We are now talking of a fourth. So this is the human story in which Africa is involved, which we must know. Whether we like it or not, it's not really a favor for you to know this story. Either you know it or you don't know it. And if you don't know it, the consequences are not good for you. So this is now the struggle of man against nature. The second form of oppression has been oppression of man by man. When now some human beings oppress other human beings. That is also another long story. The slave trade, feudalism, colonialism, neo-colonialism, all that is oppression of man by man now. So the man has had, in the last 4.5 million years, he has had two principal enemies. So where do the Africans come in here? Africans participated in many of those revolutions. The Africans participated in the invention of fire. By the time I was growing up, my father and myself were making fire using our indigenous technology, not a box of matches. It was called Oxingo Obrindi. You get one stick, you rub it with another one, and you get fire. I was making fire with my father in our way. So definitely, the Africans participated in the invention of fire. I think autonomously. I don't know whether they copied others, but they internalized that technology. They invented agriculture. They took part in the agricultural revolution. They took part in the revolution of domesticating animals. They took part in the revolution of steel, of iron. But they missed out. They have now missed out on 3 revolutions. The first one of the steam engine, the second one of the electricity and rail, and the third one of automation, which was in the 1960s. This one they have, generally speaking, missed out. Now, the first industrial revolution, when some of the human beings, not us, who were out, learned how to produce using machines instead of using muscles, then you had the phenomenon of mass production. You are no longer producing one hoe, two hoes. Every 2 days, you are now producing in mass on a large scale. Now, when you produce on a large scale, then you have a problem. Somebody must buy what you produce. If somebody does not buy what you produce, you cannot sustain the large-scale production. And when you produce on a big scale, by machines, by factories, and you sell, what happens? First of all, you get money from the sales. Secondly, you create jobs. People come and work. Thirdly, you have revenue for the government of that country. It has got revenue. And from revenue, you can now support education, support health, build infrastructure. So therefore, create prosperity. Yeah. Prosperity. If you take part in the modern mass production of machines, then you have the capacity to create prosperity for our people. But that prosperity is not possible unless you produce on a mass scale, but you also sell on a mass scale. Because if you produce and you don't buy, nobody buys, or very few people buy, then the production will not continue. And this one happened in Europe. You know, this industrial revolution, when it started, as you can see, 1450, then 17, 18, production capacity of society of Europeans was growing. But the consumption was not growing. And in 1929, Europe, the economies of Europe collapsed. It was called the Great Depression, 1929. What was the problem? Overproduction, underconsumption. That's when some economists, like Maynard Keynes, came. And Maynard Keynes said that it is better to get somebody, make him dig a hole, then you make him fill it again, and you pay him for doing nothing. He has dug a hole and filled it again. The hole is not for burying anybody, it's not for planting anything, but just to give him work, so that he gets money, puts it in his pocket, and can now go and buy something. That's when the economists were able to understand the issue of the aggregate demand. The aggregate demand is very crucial for the expansion of production. If you don't have it, you are wasting your time. The good thing with Africa, of course, is that people are asleep. Sleeping is also good. Beaucoup dormir, we say in French. African, beaucoup dormir. It's very nice, because when you are asleep, you don't know what's happening. You're not worried. A snake can come and you are snoring, you will not know kwamba nyoka imeingia, you don't know. So it's nice in a way. Now, these Ugandans here, they really like sleeping. Ugandans, if you don't know them, they sleep, wanalala sana. There is even a village somewhere called Lambara, sleep. In one part of Uganda. And they have no problem. And because they are asleep, they don't know what is needed. That's why you hear them talking of parochialism, tribe, religion, village, province, because they don't know. They are looking only after goats. When you are looking after a goat, you need just one hill. But looking after goats cannot create prosperity. And especially now, science has created a good problem for us. Because in the past, population of Africa was suppressed by disease. People were dying. So the population of Africa remained very small. Remember that Africa is 12 times the size of India. You can fit India into Africa 12 times. But even today, when we say the population of Africa has grown, it is still a bit smaller than the population of India, which is 12 times smaller than Africa. So the problem of Africa is not actually big population, it is underpopulation. A country like Congo, Kinshasa, is about the same size as India in land area. It's about the same size, and with a lot of natural resources, with only 80 million people. India is 1.3 billion. So the good thing with the managers of society here has been that disease has been killing Africans. This one has also been good for the managers because the Africans were dying. Now with modern medicine, the Africans are no longer dying. So the managers will have to wake up and think, because a big population will now put demands on you people, the experts. Big population, they want jobs. Where do jobs come from? They come from factories. But factories need markets. But where are the markets? Africa is fragmented into 54 small countries. Now, in Uganda here, I'm very happy now, I'm a very happy man. Although they are still sleeping, but they have woken up a bit. Wameamka kidogo. And now, there's too much sugar cane. Too much sugar cane. Too much sugar cane. Big crisis. What has happened? Ebikado being Kamara. I said, but why should you worry about too much sugar cane? This is good. Because they are not used to plenty. Africans are shocked. Too much sugar cane, too much maize. There's too much maize now. The price has gone down. No. But this is good. Too much milk. So the other time when I went there, I said, okay, what is the problem? Too much milk. The price has gone down. How much are you producing? 2.5 billion liters. You think billion is a big thing? 2.5 billion liters. Of course, they came from 200 million liters a year. That's why they were buying milk from Denmark, the Ugandans. You can imagine people who have been looking after cows for 7,000 years. They were buying milk from Denmark, powdered milk from Denmark. So when we work them up, they are now at 2.5 billion. I think it's 2.5 billion. I think this is a big figure. I say, but Holland, which is a very small country, is producing 10 billion. So the problem is that it's not the milk, it is the political organization. Some of your people were telling you about tribes. So let the tribes buy the milk. For us, with the NRM, we are telling you about patriotism within Uganda, uzalendo ndani ya Uganda, Pan-Africanism for Africa. Because we knew that in order to have prosperity, you cannot think in terms of your tribe, you cannot think in terms of even Uganda. You must think in a Pan-African way. Otherwise, you will condemn your people to poverty forever. So these people are now too much. So they pressed me. I talked to President Kenyatta, please allow unprocessed sugarcane to go to Kenya. They tried to go, but they couldn't arrive there. I'm enjoying the whole thing. They couldn't reach there because to transport unprocessed cane all the way to Kisumu is very expensive. The road is it is too heavy. You need to process the sugar and you transport the sugar, not the sugar cane. Yeah. But I think they are now, and I'm really enjoying it because I'm saying, but you have been talking about tribes. Really solve your problem. You have been talking about religion, priests, they come. Okay, let them buy your sugar cane there. The ones who have been telling you about religion, about tribes, let them solve your problem. For us, NRM is telling you, has been telling you for the last 56 years, when I was in the university with these people, that's what we were telling people. I went to Mozambique in 1968. What was I looking for? I was not looking for a job, but we had seen that without thinking in African terms, there's no way we can survive in the modern world. So the first why, why is prosperity for our people. Through what? Through the market. So that we integrate the market. It's really amazing to see how blind people can be. China and India, each one of them has got 1.3 billion people inside each country. But you find China is now fighting with America for additional markets. They have got a huge internal market, but they find that it's not enough. They are now fighting with America to access the American market. And here we are in Uganda, we think Uganda is too big, 42 million people. Kulala ni vizuri, sleeping is good, because when you are asleep you don't know. Hata ukifa unakufa vizuri, bila kujua. It's good. But if you wake up like me who woke up long ago, I really get worried on your behalf. I get worried on your behalf. Say, what to? And really, you can miss the boat. We missed it in 1963. Mwalimu begged these people who were there, 1963, please, let's form the federation. I'm ready even to postpone that's why I studied in Tanzania. I did not go to Tanzania to look for education. There was a university here. I went to Tanzania to link up with Mwalimu. And we linked up and we did something. That's why I'm here. And I'm still around here. Because Mwalimu was the only person who was correct in 1963, and he was assisted by Mzee Karume. The others made mistakes, made historical mistakes. And when Mwalimu tried to tell them, they wouldn't listen. Mwalimu tried his best till he gave up, but we are here. We have not given up. And I hope some of you can take up the torch. Tissue. So the first issue is prosperity for our people. You have very good examples. You have the American colonies, the 13 colonies of the British, which formed the nucleus of the United States. They have now formed one of the most powerful countries in the world. But neighboring in South America, the Spanish colonies that didn't understand the importance of integration up to today, you see them. These people who are trying to walk on foot, the ones whom Mr. Trump is stopping, they are coming from those colonies because they missed the bus. They had blind leaders, they missed the bus. Finished. Up to now, they are suffering. Honduras, El Salvador, what do you call this other one? Is it Dominican? You can't even know them. Panama, I don't know which one. In endless poverty. People are desperate. They are walking to the US where there is prosperity now. Because the other 13 colonies formed a nucleus which went on expanding. It's now the greatest country in the world because the leaders saw where prosperity lies. Now of course, the African chiefs, I forgive them because they didn't know much. So they were asleep here. You find in Ankole, my home area, we had a small king there. But the Banyankole thought he was a big pharaoh. They called him Rubambansi, the controller of the whole world. Those wonderful Banyankole thought Ankole was the whole world. And this small king would be there. People are falling down for this small king. That is his Rubambansi. He has Kubamba. Kubamba is two. Ignorance is a good thing. Because really you die nicely without knowing. So Now, where I have problem with the chiefs is 1453. 1453, those of you who have read the Bible, you know the journeys of St. Paul. St. Paul was traveling through those areas, was traveling through Ephesus, through Galatia, through all those, they are mentioned in the Bible. Now, that area in 1453 was taken over by the Turks, this Turkey. These are people who came from inside Asia and took over that area. And they blocked the land route of Marco Polo going to China. That's when our problem started. When they blocked that route for the Europeans now started looking for another route to the east. And that's how they eventually got to Cape Town in 1487. A man called Diego Cama. Vasco da Gama, 1498. Now, that's where my quarrel with African chiefs starts. Okay, you were asleep. Because you didn't know anything. But from 1498, when Vasco da Gama passed through Mombasa, he actually came to Mombasa, attacked those characters there, Mazuruis, and there's some groups there, attacked them with guns. They had started using guns. Then later on, they were coming through Zanzibar, and information was coming inside the continent here that some new people who are strong have come. My worry is, why couldn't these African chiefs get together and say, let's prepare ourselves? No. You can imagine Vasco da Gama passed 1498. The first white man to step in Uganda was 1862. This is 364 years afterwards. The African chiefs are still here. Somebody says that he's a lion. You know how the African chiefs call themselves? One is a lion, another one is an elephant. A lion eating whom? Why don't you eat the Europeans? Why do you only eat us? So these pseudo-lions, these bogus lions, were here for 364 years without looking for a solution to these new people who were coming. Initially, they could not enter Africa because of the mosquito. Our soldier was the mosquito. The mosquito was killing them. So we were defended for 300 years by the mosquito, by the tsetse fly, which was killing the horses, and by the long distances. So we were able to stay here. Until the Europeans invented quinine, they invented the steam engine, so it disappeared. The mosquito could no longer defend us because they had a solution for it. The distance could no longer defend us because they could move fast now. So Africa was colonized. When these chiefs were watching, but not knowing what to do. So today the challenge is first and foremost prosperity. How can we guarantee the prosperity of our people? But secondly, there's also the issue of strategic security. Strategic security. Who can defend Africa against the big powers? Who? The other day, the Europeans came and attacked Libya. And we were here. All of us were here. Actually, the presidents, including Jacob Zuma, were in the plane going to mediate in that Libya thing. And they were told by NATO, go back. Go back to we have started attacking Libya. Now you see what is happening in Libya, in Mali, in those places, Niger, Burkina Faso. You see what's happening there. Dying, dying, dying.
Because